Dream Big Ghana. Keep watching.
Ahaya Dream Big GA channel. Honorable Kennedy Akompre Agyapong ordinary nsema ba betuja through the spokesperson lawyer Kwesi Kwarteng after the event now organizing specifically the Ken's National Worship and Praises no a course for UPS no. Abusia me pacho say unsubscribe to my channel. Me sure kindly do so for me. Now for you na honorable organize program bi na so beautiful. Now after the program no ehun sembebre even in his own party no ebi mu kire say this wasn't a program it meant for God and I said it meant to worship and celebrate God but rather a political stage program. Now we and our honorable truly spokesperson no or the anu ye ababa betuja na explanation or the by mu the ideas behind the program and send an echo na eno na nchem no honorable Kwesi Kwarteng the same to be pray omo nkunimdi omo
Dream Big Ghana. Keep watching.
na what in same bebre nso tutu ja na busia mpese wan kasa you sit back and watch the interview na we are then you bring your comment me da say
6, which means we are getting ready to go cover the New Patriotic Party's presidential primaries as a media house. The NPP, the New Patriotic Party, flag bearer hopeful Kennedy Agyapong has called for peace, unity and prayers ahead of the party's presidential primaries, which is scheduled for the end of the month, that's January 31, 2026. He was speaking to worshippers, and the Honorable Kennedy Agyapong had this particular program dubbed Ken's National Praise 2026 event. It was on Friday, January 2nd, and he emphasized that the gathering was strictly a Thanksgiving service and not a political campaign activity. So what exactly was the Honorable Kennedy Agyapong trying to do? We've been joined in studio now with more on what has been happening. Kwesi Kwarteng is a spokesperson for the Kennedy Agyapong campaign team. He's joined us in studio. You're welcome to Channel 1 News Show.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm okay. Now you do church service too? You do crossover watch night service. Is that what you're doing now?
No, this one is not crossover. Watch night service. Crossover is usually mostly done on the 31st of December.
You did yours on...
This one is second, so it can't be crossover. This one is ushering.
So what were you ushering? What was the idea? What was is it a church program that you attended or you organized a church program?
No, it's an event. It's an event of the campaign. You know, campaign is not necessarily an event, it's a process. You may have to campaign on all angles, but of course, most importantly, you also have to remember that at the end of the day, those of us pay our faith and what we believe as Christians, victory alone comes from the Lord. So, in such circumstances, you have to commit yourself to the Lord. Thank God, of course, for the good tidings, the past, the support, the commitment, the prayers that we've enjoyed in the past. Moving around the country has not been easy. Touring all 276 constituencies, it's not been easy. So at a moment like this, especially beginning of the year, you get your team to, once again, renew our commitment to God, ask for God's blessing, God's favor, and most importantly, the strength to win at the end of the day. So it
was a Thanksgiving service of a kind?
Thanksgiving service, yeah.
Was it multi-denominational or it was one denomination? How did you organize this?
It was open to the general public. So, I mean, certainly there will be a lot of people who will be attending irrespective of their denominational background. But at the end of the day, certainly we may have to choose a venue, and the venue happened to be one particular church, which is denominational in its nature, but in terms of the people that were inside the auditorium.
So you brought pastors from other churches?
Yes. Some came from Kumasi, across the country. Some came
from other churches, not necessarily from location.
Because if you recall, the first pastor that spoke came from Assemblies of God, Ghana. And I think the subsequent one, if I am right, also came from a different, but all of them, the clergy were from different churches. You know, Bernard, for instance, was also there. He counts for spiritual life, more the charisma. So we had the Protestants, we had some members from the Catholic, we also have some from the AG and all other denominations.
So you are the ones who organized this. Was it what you envisaged? Would you say that you have realized what you were wanting to do?
I would say our expectations were even overmet.
Really?
Yes.
How so?
Because you would expect that as you commit yourself into the hands of the Lord, and of course ask for His guidance and prayer. We just made the invitation very open, but the number of calls, the extent of subscription to the event, there was apparently an even overflow outside the auditorium. So I would say that our expectations were more than met. And of course, you know, the auditorium was more or less like a studio setup. So you have to gauge the outcome of the program based on the momentum that is gathered within the public space. And of course, whether politically, spiritually, I mean, socially, we believe that
Dream Big
it would have
Ghana.
served the
Keep
purpose that we
watching.
wanted
Are
to.
you trying to send a message by doing a Christian church campaign for an internal primary?
I think our message is one that is about what we believe in and what our candidate believes in. Our candidate believes in Christ. Our candidate believes in the Christian God. Of course, our candidate also embraces everybody. Yesterday, there were different people. If you recall, the MC even announced that the Buddhists had representation. We had extended even invitation to our traditional leadership. Gamanche representation were there. Their representatives were there. There were other people from the Muslim community also even were there. So, of course, we were professing our faith. We were manifesting our faith, the faith of the candidate. But, of course, we also embrace all other faith. Because, I mean, Omar, at the end of the day, Agyapong, if he gets the opportunity to come and lead the country, he's not going to be the president for only Christians or the faith that he aligns
So
with.
will you do one for Muslims too?
I mean, it's not come to the table as at now. It's not come to the table as at now. But like I indicated, it has more to do with the faith that he believes in. I'm sure, consequently, if we get to a stage where we believe that we may have to consider our other faith, not necessarily Muslims, probably. The other question would be, what about Buddhists? What about traditionalists? We probably may be looking at organizing 1,001 events. But for now, it's the faith of the candidate that we believe strongly that we have to pay homage to what he believes, which is the Christian God.
You mentioned El Bernard, and he has reinforced a prophecy that he made.
Yes.
What would you say to a cynic and a critic who says, you just put this together so that because you didn't have a 31st night prophecy saying that you are going to be flag bearer, you bring the prophet to your own place, and after he prays, and he will say, oh, I've endorsed you.
Well, at the end of the day, who are we even deceiving in the first place? Because 31st is just at the corner. It's about 27, 28 days. So if we want to fool ourselves, in quotes, then we'll be exposed. What benefit will it be to us? We had extended invitation to Prophet El Bernard and many other pastors, not only Prophet El Bernard. So, I mean, people who felt they needed to honor it, honored it. I am not a prophet. I don't see what he sees. Even though I believe and strongly aligns with his faith and the calling and anointing on his life. But of course, I mean, even before the 31st, Bernard had earlier spoken, if you recall.
Yeah.
Even prior to the 2024 election, he publicly also made similar declarations that President Mahama was going to win. So there's a track record. And so somebody like me, as a Christian, the Bible says, believe in my God and believe in also a prophet. So I do not have any basis to doubt.
So that's the spiritual realm. But in the scientific realm, where Musa Dankwa and people like him who do the polling, it doesn't look like you're winning.
Even Musa Dankwa has also come under serious criticism like Bernard. I have always seen Musa Dankwa's work as a feedback for us to improve the things that we are doing. Of course, there are instances where I disagree with him. For instance, just last December, if hypothetically, if I get my figures right, he's done about 19 polls. And one will wonder how even the extent of how he's even resourced to even have the logistics to even carry out such polls. I mean, there are quarters like me, myself, who places some value and credibility on the work that he does. Of course, there have been situations where he had his predictions wrong. The first time he predicted for President Mahama in 2020, he had it wrong. But of course, consistently to he's also built that some level of credibility for himself.
So that's why if you believe in his credibility and he's not saying that you are winning, then there's a problem for you. So spiritually you are winning, but scientifically...
I mean, at the end of the day, if you recall, if I had to go by the extension of the same logic, Musa Dankwa initially had given Ken 18% in the 2023 primaries, we pulled 37%. So if I had to go by the same Musa Danko analogy,
Dream Big
and
Ghana.
do
Keep watching.
something that is logically consistent, this time around he gave us what, 31% or 33%. We should be doing around 66 or so. Because anytime he predicts for Ken, the man has demonstrated that consistently is able to double it up, multiply by 2. So I just don't want to downplay his efforts and his role. But of course, people have criticized him like people criticized Bernard. People believe that he's abusing the credibility that he's built to control public perception in many spheres. I mean, those are arguments that people have advanced. I do not have any basis and evidence to support him. But all I would say is that we welcome his work. He's not the only scientist or poster in the country. We also have posters that we engage to at least give us an idea of how we are doing. But bottom line is that Umaru, 31st will be the D-Day.
And it's good. So it's good to mention 31st, which is like 28 days away.
Yes.
How are you preparing as a campaign, aside doing a church service?
I think the church service was just part of the process. Like I said, campaign is not an event. Spiritual, physically, you have to be prepared. Financially,
so right now, physically, what are you doing? What's your campaign plan? Are you going to go back to do another nationwide tour, or now you're going to do rallies?
No, Kennedy Agyapong currently is the only candidate that has been able to do 16 regions as at now. From tomorrow, he'll be continuing his tour from the Asante region. Myself and Honorable Irene Atoshi will also be in the Eastern region. Ken's wife, also Madam Christiana Agyapong, will also be in the Central region. And of course, the MP and the MPs that we have and some other teams, they are also down, also working. So we are not banking all our hopes on spirituality or prophecies or church. No, but it's just a marriage of the two, where we don't have to compromise the other. At the same time, we're also not sacrificing one for the other. We are working, we are speaking to the delegates. Most important is selling our message, the message of hope, that if we bring Kennedy Agyapong, Ghanaians says they will vote. That is what the message that we are selling to the party people. And consistently, we believe they are buying it.
How are you going into this election? Are you going into the election as the leaders in the race, or you are going into the race as the people, the campaign that is following Dr. Bawumiah, and you are hoping to topple him?
I believe that referencing what pertained in 2023, now we are all coming from a level playing ground. Recall 2023, Dr. Bawumiah had enjoyed the full establishment support. And when I say he was the establishment support, the establishment candidate, it presupposes that he had the government or the incumbency's support. And of course, he has some level of advantage. But right now, I mean, clearly the establishment has broken. President Akufo-Addo, who was the captain of the boat today, has jumped off and jettisoned the boat. And Dr. Bawumiah is the only person now in it.
We haven't seen that. Dr. Nana Akufo-Addo has not said that he has run
I know that.
Which boat has he entered?
I know. No, I mean, for now, I can tell you which boat he has jumped off.
But I can't tell which boat he has jumped on.
I can tell you which boat he has jumped off.
Did he jump onto the Kennedy Agyapong boat? Because then if he hasn't, then that's also a problem.
I don't have his permission to share where he is now, but I know where he's not. And of course, you know, Dr. Brian Champo used to be there, Arena Toshi, Kwabena Agyapong, my own former boss, Dr. Duchu, they all used to be there. So right now, the establishment...
But he still has advantage to the extent that he was your flag bearer, and people say that he's the most marketed and that he should go. You don't agree with that?
Yeah, logically, it will appear so. But in terms of
Dream Big Ghana, keep watching.
May not necessarily be so. You know, I've always maintained that marketability is quite different from acceptability, right? In the case of Dr. Bawumiah, I feel that he has had much presence and visibility, right? Owing from the time that he came as with Akufo-Addo from 2008 up to 2024. He's been around at least for the past 16 years. So in terms of visibility, he has had it, yes. But in terms of marketability translates into acceptance. That is where the data does not support that he has been marketable, especially from the last election.
In 30 seconds, what's your assessment of the electoral process so far? Has it been fair to you as a campaign? And two, what will be the option for Kennedy Agyapong if he loses on 31st?
Well, in terms of the electoral processes, I want to take the opportunity to commend the Presidential Election Committee. I think they've done a yeoman's job. They are determined to ensure that there is a free and clean process for all of us. And so, as at now, even most of the guidelines, if you look at it, now we've outsourced most of the processes to the electoral commission. So, on that
things
basis,
are going well on that
yes,
side.
I think it's
so we hear Kennedy Agyapong on election day say, "Mema will show down on a phone call."
What we won't hear is that Kennedy Agyapong will not lose.
Okay.
I will tell you that Kennedy Agyapong is going to win. So, you see, the
What
question,
if he loses? What will happen to him? Would he remain with the NPP?
I've always maintained that such questions, to be fair, has to be redirected to the Bawumiah camp. The basis is that Kennedy Agyapong has a track record where he lost in 2023 and even went ahead to support the party and Dr. Bawumiah.
So it's a no-brainer to ask.
I mean,
but it's still worth making the commitment.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, from the data that we have, the campaign that we are doing, the momentum, the mood of the party people, the mood of the nation, I am strongly convinced that 31st, Ken is going to be declared the winner.
Kwesi, wish you all the best and thank you for joining us.
I'm grateful.
That's Kwesi Kwatin. He's a spokesperson to the Kennedy Agyapong campaign team. This is Channel 1 Newsroom.
Dream Big Ghana. Keep watching.